Our fourth presenter is Clifton Huffmaster. You'll recognize the name because sitting next to him is his beautiful wife, who has been a guest speaker here now for the last 3 years. Yes. He has a unique background and one that's driven by the motivation and the desire that they have as a family. Clifton is a detective for the Concord Police Department in San Francisco Bay Area. After 6 years of intense study, he recently defended his Ph.D. dissertation in the history of religion in the Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley, California. His hard work was approved on September 9th, 2023, and we now refer to him as Dr. Clifton Edward David Huffmaster, Ph.D. You can't come up yet. There's more. Okay. That was a 6-year journey that took the major commitment of his wife and from his children. He has 3. They have 3. It's amazing. That's not an easy course for them to take while he's working full-time as the primary agent that provides for the welfare of his family unit. But yet he has taken the calling and has responded to Sandra's request numerous times to please come and share your story because it is beyond description, as is Lauren's. He is a father of 3 daughters and a caretaker and supporter of his wife, Lauren, as she fought NBC these past 8 years. She worked to combat the emotional side effects of cancer, and Dr. Huffmaster was there to encourage her journey. Lauren opened Stage for Change with her definition of legacy. Dr. Huffmaster will identify where the concept of legacy lives in our lives. He is a unique speaker. You'll be absolutely riveted to your chairs when you realize the presentation that he's about to make. Please.
Thank you so much for that extremely warm welcome. And I do want to begin my talk with a sincere and heartfelt set of thank yous. I want to begin with thanks to Stephen and Sandra Gunn for putting this together and for helping us to have our voices heard. This means the world to us to be able to come here and tell you about our journey and our experiences. And it wouldn't be possible without the support of a huge number of volunteers and board members. So I want to say thank you so much. You're not invisible. We see you. We see the hard work that you do. And we know that without you volunteers, this would not be possible. So thank you for what you do. Thank you to the sponsors. We appreciate you taking our voices and amplifying them across the world. What Sandra has done to bring us here and have our voices heard, the sponsors have taken it further and made it so that our voices can be heard around the world. And so we thank you to our sponsors. I want to thank the speakers that have gone before me. And while we so desire to have our voices heard, this is a hard thing to do. And the courage that has been shown by every single one of these speakers, women, husbands, children, have courageously come up here and literally bore their soul to you. They've taken their heart and they've opened it up and shown you what was inside. And they have shown more about what it means to build a legacy than anything I can say. They are showing you what it means to build a legacy with every speech that they've given. So my feeble words are going to be nothing compared to the legacy that you've seen built in their stories and in their lives and in their speeches. Nonetheless, I'm going to make a few brief comments about what it means to make a legacy. Finally, I want to give my last sincere, heartfelt thank you to everybody listening today. Knowing now what it means to us to have your attention, to have your ear, to share your lives with us for just one day, it means the world to us. And it's never lost on me that you could be anywhere in the world right now doing anything you want, and you've chosen to be here, whether online or in person, to hear us today. And for that, I am eternally grateful. You've given us your attention, you've given us your time, you've given us a piece of yourselves as we've opened up our hearts to you. So thank you so much for being an amazing audience. Do you know how certain words conjure up an image more than a definition? For me, legacy is one of those words. When I hear the word legacy, I don't think about the definition of what legacy is. Rather, I see a picture. And by way of confession, that picture, ridiculously, is me in statue form. And when I think of legacy, I think of me on a horse. And that horse is kind of rearing up, and I've got like a sword, maybe more of a saber, kind of like this. And I think about myself in this heroic pose, memorialized in bronze where somebody can see it. I think, that's that guy's legacy. That's Clifton right there on that friggin' horse, right? And I remind Lord of this all the time, this poor woman. I think it's very funny. I think it's entertaining. She never sees the humor in this, never. But I tell her all the time, when I die, I want to have a statue of me on a rearing up horse. So this is what image I have. Is this a helpful image? No, but I'm going to get to that later. So let me go back to the definition. Here's what I define legacy as. Legacy is how you are remembered when you're gone. Legacy is how you are remembered after you're gone. And people living with a cancer diagnosis feel this deeply. They wonder, how will people remember me when I'm gone? How will people remember me after I've died? They struggle with their mortality. They wonder what they can leave behind for the world to remember them by. And sadly, many people with a cancer diagnosis leave behind a legacy of loneliness, isolation, fear, and hopelessness. Nobody wants to leave this kind of legacy. Nobody in this room wants to leave a legacy like that. But sadly, that's the legacy that far too many women with MBC is going to leave. This talk is going to be my humble attempt to explore how one leaves a proper legacy. This, of course, is not only applicable to people impacted by cancer. Though they feel this as a more pressing topic than the rest of us, each of us, every single one of us, wants to leave behind a legacy to be proud of when we leave this world. I think the biggest hindrance to leaving this kind of legacy is an improper understanding of what legacy is. You see, a lot of people think that leaving a legacy is about one singular great momentous achievement, like a guy on a horse would make. But that's not what a legacy is. A legacy is not one thing. A legacy is not one achievement. It's not one momentous moment. No, the exact opposite is true. A proper legacy is a remembrance of the totality of a life. The totality of the life. That's what a legacy is. Not one achievement, not one thing that you did, not one momentous occasion, but just the opposite. It's the sum total of your life's decisions, the sum total of the things that you've done. It's not just about one thing, but it's about who you are. It's about the person that you have become and the person that affects change in the world. This means that with every day, with every thought, with every feeling, with every action, we're actively building our legacy. Our legacy will be the sum total of our lives. Therefore, instead of thinking about how to do things that build a legacy, we must be constantly striving toward being a person worthy of a legacy. And that legacy will be our character. Our character, a life lived with honesty, charity, hope, kindness, and most of all, a life lived with love. So the question is not whether or not you will be remembered when you're gone. I promise you, you're going to be remembered. You're going to be remembered by those who love you. The question is, who will you be remembered as? What kind of person will you be remembered to have been? Now, by way of conclusion, I want to switch gears. We've been talking about our legacy. Now I want to talk about the legacy of cancer. I firmly believe that thanks to the amazing work that's being done, much of it by the people listening to me now, that cancer as a death sentence is going to be a thing of the past in the near future. So the question arises, how will we remember this thing called cancer when it's been eradicated by you folks? How will we remember this thing called cancer? Does it have to be something that stole our loved ones? Does it have to be remembered as something that shattered our identities, tore apart our families, caused us to live in the terror of uncertainty? Is that how we have to remember cancer? Or can the legacy of cancer be transformed in its final hours? Perhaps we can change the cancer experience. Perhaps we can cause it to be remembered as something that brought us together, something that reshaped who we are, something that strengthened our families, something that taught us to live with purpose, something that showed us how to keep hope in the midst of terrifying uncertainty. The truth is that we can all work to redeem the cancer experience. We can change the legacy of cancer. So whoever you are, and I speak to each of you individually, find someone who has been impacted by cancer and help them to build their legacy. Help them to bring their family together in the midst of the cancer experience. And I don't mean as an oncologist or a pharmaceutical rep or a research scientist. I mean as a person, as a neighbor, as a coworker, as a friend. Find a family impacted by cancer. Help them to build their legacy of hope and purpose. Listen to the person impacted by cancer and hear how their identity has been broken, and then help them to reforge that identity. Help them to find their purpose in cancer. Both Sandra and Lauren found their purpose in life not despite a cancer diagnosis, but because of a cancer diagnosis. We can help people impacted by cancer to find purpose in their pain. We can help them to find hope. Hope in terrifying situations is the most powerful form of medicine that there is. And I firmly believe that no amount of medicine in this world, no matter how beautifully engineered, will ever be impactful without the support of hope in that person's life. And you can help bring that to the person in your neighborhood, at your job. You can help bring that to the family that's impacted by cancer. And when you do that, you will help them to build their legacy. You will help to build that family's unit. You will help to build their hope. You will help them to find their purpose. And in doing so, you will be at the same time building your own legacy. And that can be your legacy as well. And ultimately, together, in partnership, we can transform the legacy of cancer and redeem it into something much better than it is now in its final hours. Thank you.